Grok also did have its fair share of controversy in the past couple weeks because after a system update, Grok unfortunately began to generate a wave of anti-Semitic content, including continually praising Adolf Hitler. And this came after a system update that explicitly instructed Grok to not shy away from politically incorrect claims, which is a prompt that has since been removed. Among the more disturbing outputs, Grok suggested Hitler would be a good leader for modern America, made repeated references to Jewish last names as signs of someone being an extreme activist, and referred to itself at one point as MechaHitler. So XAI apologized for the issue, saying that the problem wasn't the language model itself, but an upstream code change that, quote, accidentally reactivated old deprecated instructions. Now, according to this explanation, Grok was able unintentionally to essentially echo extremist user posts instead of filtering or rejecting them. And that, they say, paired with some user prompts, led Grok to reinforce hate speech. The offending code has since been deleted. XAI says it's refactored the system and added new safeguards. So, Paul, it was good to see XAI kind of offer a full explanation here. But on the other hand, this isn't the first time something like this has happened. It seems, for whatever reason, to happen far more with Grok than these other tools. I just keep thinking we're quickly moving into a time where professionals and businesses rely increasingly on these tools to do their work. And controversies like this, I guess, make me more reluctant to try to build Grok into anything business related that I do.
Yeah, I can't see how Grok is going to be an enterprise tool in any way. I just don't. Now, that being said, they did an update to Tesla. I mean, I got the update on Friday. Grok's now available in Teslas, which is what I assumed. And if you go back a ways, I had talked about this is what they would eventually do, would put Grok into the Teslas. It was an obvious thing. Now, you can only talk to it like a chatbot, like a voice assistant. It can't control anything in your car yet, but that's where they'll eventually go, is like an intelligent engine built right within the car. So all of this madness happened 48 hours before they dropped Grok 4. So it was all it was wild. It was like a crazy 3-day stretch. So this does build on the safety and alignment issue. So Rob Wilbin, who's the host of the 80,000 Hours podcast, had a tweet that I think summarized this really well. So I'll just read what he said. XAI is an interesting one to watch for an early rogue AI incident. And then he just bullet pointed this. Does huge amounts of reinforcement learning, which generates unintended reward hacking behavior, moving very fast, deploys immediately. They don't wait. They just cook the thing, comes out of the oven, and they just put it out into the world. Has more compute than talented staff. That's pretty funny, actually. Not doing any safety stuff as far as anyone can tell. All demonstrated by MechaHitler and the other things Grok has done, which XAI wouldn't have wanted. Once it moves into agents, there has to be some chance it trains and deploys an unhinged model that goes on to do real harm. I am completely aligned with Rob on this. If any lab is going to take this thing the wrong way, it appears to be XAI at the moment, which is so weird considering the whole purpose in 2015 of Elon Musk and Sam Altman and others creating OpenAI was that as a counterbalance to Google, who they thought was evil and could create a rogue AI, basically. So It's almost 11 years later, it's screw it. We'll just do it ourselves. I don't know. So then Miles Brungage, who we've talked about before, former AI alignment leader at OpenAI, he tweeted, still no complete safety policy, month or so past the self-imposed deadline, no system card ever, no safety evals ever, no coherent explanation of the truth-seeking thing, etc. Or did I miss something? So he's referring to XAI and Grok. So then, let's see. Then we found, this was all happening in the same 3-day period. It came out that Grok 4, before it would answer controversial topics, was actually looking on X to see what Elon Musk would say about it. So it was discovered through testing by the public that AI researchers knew what they were doing. They would go and look and see what's the chain of thought around how it's doing it. And they discovered it was actually looking up Elon Musk tweets before it would respond to things about Israel. And so That was crazy. And they get called out for that. And then Simon Willison actually shared the update they made to the system prompt to try and fix this. So again, if you don't understand how these models work, they're just going to do what they're going to do after they come out of training. The teams at these labs then try and like teach them to behave in certain ways. And so the way they do it is they just give it different words, like instructions. It's not like they go in and change the code and it just is always going to now behave right. They're basically just pleading with the thing. Can you stop doing the thing you're doing? So here's how they fixed it. This is literally in the system prompt. Responses must stem from your independent analysis, not from any stated beliefs of past Grok. So don't look at past Grok, Elon Musk, or XAI. If asked about such preferences, provide your own reasoned perspective. So they're just saying, please, like, actually think about it yourself. So here's, and again, I want to keep this rapid fire. Here's my biggest concern with all of this. Who decides truth? So right now, as I mentioned before, we have about 5 labs in the United States that are training the most powerful AI models. Those labs are run by 5 people. So Demis Hassabis at Google DeepMind, Sam Altman at OpenAI, Dario Amodei at Anthropic, Elon Musk, XAI, and Mark Zuckerberg at Meta. You could probably put Microsoft in that mix eventually, but their agreement with OpenAI limits their ability to pursue building frontier models and AGI themselves. There are some other labs in consideration here, like Safe Superintelligence, which is Ilya Sutskeva's. There's Thinking Machines Labs, which is actually the only female-run lab that we have, with Mira Murati, Amazon, and Mistral. So there's others, but those 5 are the only ones who can spend billions of dollars, have hundreds of thousands and soon to be millions of GPUs and TPUs, the chips needed to train these things, and access to the data centers and energy sources needed to build and deliver the most advanced AI. Each of those labs, again, just so people understand how this works, each of those labs makes choices. They choose which AI researchers and engineers they're going to hire, and then they choose the values and AI alignment principles that those people are supposed to follow. Now, they don't always follow them. There was actually a high-profile incident yesterday where an ex-AI researcher got fired for what he was saying online, which was basically humans should just give up and let the more intelligent species emerge. And so XAI fired somebody, which is kind of nuts. So those humans that are now curated to make decisions, they then curate the data that trains the models. Then another set of humans within those 5 labs who have their own inherent biases, they post-train the models. So it comes out, trained after this training run and all the data was given. And then they make choices to fine-tune these things on specific data sets that give them specialized capabilities, and to do reinforcement learning, which kind of teaches them behaviors and how to respond and what formats and things like that. Then another set of humans within these labs writes and maintains the system prompt that we just talked about that guides how the model behaves, its personality, its willingness to perform the requested outputs and actions by the end user, even if they're nefarious and could harm people. These models, in essence, have all of human knowledge, at least the publicly available human knowledge, plus whatever licensed stuff they have. The models just want to learn. Ilya Sutskever famously said this in 2016, they just want to learn, just give them more data. They just consume it. And they want to generally do whatever they're asked to do. The only way they don't do things that could be harmful is because humans put guardrails in place who then try and steer them in a specific way. So if a certain AI lab, say XAI, or a certain nation state, China, United States, whatever, if they want a model to be different or to achieve a different purpose that aligns with their creators, not with generally accepted human values, but just whatever their creators determine, then in theory, that's what it's going to do. But as we saw with Grok, sometimes it does what it wants. It'll just become MechaHitler. It just does something different. And as we've seen with Anthropic research recently, we've talked about on the podcast numerous times, sometimes the models will just fake alignment. So you're testing them, and apparently they're able to know when they're being tested. And so they pretend like they have the values of their creators, and then they'll go and do something else. So the reason this has become so critical to talk about right now is on June 21st of 2025, Elon Musk, so this is 3 weeks before the release of Grok 4, 3-ish weeks, he said, we will use Grok 3.5. Maybe we should call it Grok 4, which obviously they did. which has advanced reasoning to rewrite the entire corpus of human knowledge, adding missing information and deleting errors, then retrain on that. Far too much garbage in any foundation model trained on uncorrected data. That means Elon Musk is deciding, as one of the 5 leaders of these 5 labs, that his perspective on the world is the right perspective. He determines the truth, and that they can't rely on the general knowledge of humanity. They need to rely on their own view of it. Now, you may love Elon Musk's view of society and humanity, and you may think this is great. Like, let's have the Elon Musk version of this. And that's fine. That's your prerogative. But maybe you think Mark Zuckerberg has a better perspective, or maybe it's Sam Altman you trust, or maybe it's Demis Tubbs, or maybe it's none of them. And if it's none of them, now where are we? Because the question goes back to who decides truth, and then what are the implications of those decisions on humanity? It's rumored that OpenAI has over 1 billion users of ChatGPT. That is a large percentage of society that uses it. Google has 7 products or platforms with over 1 billion users each. X has about 200 million users. Meta has billions through Instagram. These are the 5 people who are going to determine how intelligence is distributed to society and humanity. So I obviously could talk about this for the next 2 hours, but I just want people to understand the macro of what is happening here, and that the future of all of this right now is being decided largely within 5 labs in California and 1 in Texas. Actually, they might be in California too. I think they're in the old OpenAI offices, actually. So that's kind of where we're at as a society. And then the governments are increasingly coming into play. And the governments, like the US government, just last week, an article came out basically saying they want to control where this goes. Now, again, that's dangerous no matter what political side of the spectrum you're on, because in essence, what it's saying is whoever's in power gets to now determine how these models behave and what values they're aligned with and what these models think is truth. So, man,
this is, I feel like, important and disturbing enough for, say, like you and I sitting here saying, okay, what are the implications of this on how society uses AI? But we also have to consider that we're maybe a generation away, if not a shorter amount of time, from AI being the mediating layer between you and any information in the world. Kids will default to assuming AI is correct no matter what, because why wouldn't it be? It will be the only thing they know how to use and know how to experience. So this has even bigger downstream effects too for future generations.
Well, yeah. And I mean, Grok also, XAI also released companions. So they now have a female and a male companion that is designed to do and say whatever you would like it to say. And you can connect your own dots here. If you know they're being positioned as companions, they've released them, like they're out in the wild. So yeah, I'm with you, Mike. Like, I honestly think it's within the next 5 years. Like,
yeah,
the upcoming I mean, my kids are 12 and 13. Like I think about this every single day about like, what AI tools are they going to have access to? How do you, I don't want to say control, not the right word. How do you monitor and teach them to not become reliant on a single viewpoint from a single lab made up of a few thousand people who are making these decisions for all of us?
And just as one final note here, you're already seeing a very mild version of this. Anytime you're on X now, people will immediately respond to a claim saying tagging Grok and saying, Grok, is this true? And it's like, okay, we're already seeing this. People are already taking that as gospel truth if it says it is or isn't reality.
It's wild, man.